Okay, well, I wasn't too impressed with Girl Who Died and was kind of unenthused by Ashilda, but they're saying that Woman Who Lived is a full-on character piece this time, which will make a nice change of pace. That I do really like the lady who's writing its past work, so yeah, we'll see, I guess. Oh dear. Again. Okay, while I thought Woman Who Lived was slightly better than Girl Who Died, sort of, a little bit, in the tiniest way possible, ultimately this entire two-parter was just such a damn shame, especially in this case, because Catherine Tregenna could have brought so much more to the table. When I first heard rumblings that her one was going to be more of a character piece than New Who usually is, I had high hopes for it. She strikes me more as a straight dramatist than a pulp sci-fi writer. Her episodes of Torchwood were less about weird technology, people shooting guns at other people, and aliens that fuck people to death, and were more about fleshing out characters and connecting the viewer with their experiences, which was why they felt so weird and out of place alongside stuff like Cyberwoman. Catherine is incredibly talented, and I personally think that if she'd been brought in early on in Season 7 Part 2 and had given us an entire episode focused on making Clara compelling, if that had happened, I really don't think we'd have been complaining so much about her for the last 2 years. Catherine's a great character writer, I know she is, and as one of Britain's biggest TV exports, Doctor Who should be showing that it can be as mature and emotionally articulate as Catherine's past work has been. I haven't given up hope on either Jamie or Catherine, in case anyone's going to start thinking that based on this two-parter. I know they can both be better than this, and I don't want to start banging on about how it feels like they've had their creative freedoms restricted, because I don't know the background to the writing, and this is all a little bit conspiratorial of me, but this and the last one certainly feel like stories that were written to a very strict brief given out by someone else. Maybe I've just got even more cynical lately, but based on what I know of Jamie and Catherine, I did start feeling a sense of these two not really being all their ideas. What really drove this theory were there were lots of points in Woman Who Lived where I just thought to myself, well, there's a convenient window of opportunity needlessly shoehorned in for the purposes of spin-off media.
I've had 800 years of adventure. Enough to fill a library if you write it down.
A medieval queen? How exciting.
They just appear to have really been banking on Ashilda generating a lot more interest than I've seen people take in her, and if I'm wrong and she actually has become popular among younger viewers, I almost guarantee that she'll get her own books and be back next year, and be the new River song that we'll all start rolling our eyes at the reappearance of. This is of course entirely dependent on Maisie Williams being interested in returning, which I'm doubtful of given Game of Thrones cast members being headhunted by Hollywood in recent times, but given how The Woman Who Lived ends, this appears to be the intention. If she's going to be a long-running fixture of the show, when it comes to trying to build an all-new, strong, well-rounded character, I would have said that Catherine would be the prime writer to make that character compelling, but Ashilda really didn't work for me in Woman Who Lived because of the usual New Who problem of the episode trying to do far too much all at once. It was trying to establish the Doctor and Ashilda's relationship, it was trying to steamroll through the centuries of Ashilda's past, how she feels about it, the Highwayman stuff, the plot with the lion-looking people, and of course the character arc where she realises what she wants her purpose with immortality to be. That's a hell of a lot of stuff to do in 45 minutes. You can't expect me to feel some kind of deeper connection with her as well. Okay, basically the lesson we can learn from what Ashilda tells us about her life can be summed up as this.
He knew very well that immortality was a curse, not a blessing.
The problem is, though, the only real sense that we get of her feeling immortality's curse was primarily given through a series of montages of Ashilda name-checking famous historical events that have happened up until this point. And that's pretty much all we get. Look at this famous historical event for 5 seconds, this character was in it. And that's it. It doesn't do anything to make the character being in that famous historical event meaningful. And to expand on this point, it's time for what's becoming a regular feature on He Who Moans. Stuart points out an opportunity for the show to start showing maturity for a change that for some stupid reason the episode completely misses. Now, imagine what this episode would have been like if it had been the Doctor and Clara showing up in this village in this shot here, where the Black Death has broken out, where Ashilda is having to comfort people whose children and families are dying of the plague, and then her own children succumb to it. And she's having to come to terms with how she will live through this plague as everyone around her dies. It would be gnarly and brutal, and it would be questionable with regard to taste for the 7 o'clock time slot, yes, but just imagine how effective that would be. This would really hammer home the issue of immortality being a curse. Everyone around her dies. Is she really lucky to be the woman who lived? And what is this doing to her mental state? Exploring Ashilda's relationship with her immortality in that setting would certainly have been more effective than the Doctor and her sitting in a room talking about it for 10 minutes, and then they go and do something else. She is the woman who lived, and she's tormented by that, but this is only really communicated to us by way of Maisie Williams telling us about other unseen characters. We don't meet anyone, we don't feel anything for them, it's just dished out through dialogue and montages, and that's about it. Okay, the themes that this episode deals with, right, are isolation through the years hardening the heart. I get that, but leaving out literally everything regarding how she got to this point in her life isn't exactly a great way of warming us to the character. She just comes across as very distant and cold. I mean, I know why she is, yes, but I didn't feel for her because I haven't gone through anything with her. We get to know a character by experiencing the events of their life with them, and this is becoming a common problem in New Who. We don't really seem to experience events in characters' lives with them that shape them anymore, because the episode's trying to do literally everything else as well. We've got too many plates spinning at once. Maybe if they'd done a better job with fleshing out Ashilda last week, I might have actually given more of a shit about her, but just having her be this innocent little kid one week and then basically a completely different character the next week, and a character arc for her that would have actually been incredibly interesting, has already happened off-screen. Well, yeah, do you blame me for being kind of put out by that? There really should have been a middle episode, as said, seeing out Ashilda surviving the Black Death, because, as is, the narrative is trying to tell us that it's offering up character depth, without actually offering up anything of substance that would have provided character depth. The process of Ashilda's life should have taken up much more than just a bunch of montages, because what we actually got instead was a lot less stellar than what could have been. Because, of course, we have to have Ashilda turn out to be in league with random forgettable evil alien number 5782. Just for something touted as a character piece, it really doesn't feel that much like one, because I don't feel like I got inside anyone's heads here and really understood them. I mean, I suppose they're trying to get character out of Ashilda. I vehemently refuse to call her me, by having her actions at this moment in time speak for themselves, and it's not that I dislike the highwayman burglar conceit. It's fine enough, and I did enjoy the Doctor accompanying Ashilda as she goes about her new life as a thief, but the main problem was that, just like my views on Magician's Apprentice, if you introduce a really interesting idea and then just go, right, that's all we're going to do with it, what you've got following that had better be damn impressive, or it's going to make me spend the rest of the runtime bitterly grumbling about the idea that got away. I wasn't getting anywhere near as much rich character depth from Maisie Williams and the Doctor talking about stuff as they wander around places than I would have got from historical events actually affecting Ashilda and making her the woman she is today, and making me actually feel something for her. I sound like I hate this episode, don't I? I really don't, in case anyone's thinking that. I did actually enjoy the first half of it, where we have Ashilda's past come out between her and the Doctor, just the problem was there were so many holes in this thing. On a more positive note, I did enjoy Rufus Hound as Sam Swift with his gallows humour. I did get a couple of good laughs out of him, so that's something, I guess.
You were so puny, nightmare, or should I say, slight mare?
No, not the puns. Line in the sand. No puns.
It's what's
Yeah, his puns are much better than that really shit one you did in Magician's Apprentice, Doctor. No puns. Did anyone else immediately think pot calling kettle black here? But anyway, I must stress that I do want to be positive in this case. I do admire what Woman Who Lived was going for. I like the themes, and I like the events that it tries to fold into it, and I like that it is noticeably trying to craft Ashilda into an interesting character, but I just felt that as a whole, the episode needed to be a lot quieter and more restrained. Not just for the first half, but for the whole thing. It would have been a lot more remarkable by this point if we'd lowered the amount of highwayman stuff, we dropped Leomon entirely, we dropped the guitar, not for the purposes of what I'm about to say, just why not, Please can we drop the guitar, please? But just imagine how remarkable it would have been by this point if this had just been a straight 45-minute character piece from start to finish, because as is, just like with Girl Who Died, I'm not saying that what it actually does is generally a bad thing. Evil alien, character corrupted by evil alien, highwayman, adventure and shit. But Woman Who Lived just mashed together so many elements that are so familiar by this point, just doing the same things that Doctor Who always does all the time. While the episode was quite clearly trying to have its own identity, said identity just got buried under a pile of overly familiar ideas. Overall, I just thought there was quite a lot missing from something that should have been so much more rewarding. Although I do admire its intentions and the potential buried in it, and I really don't want this to be the last we see of Catherine. I know she's capable of doing so much more for the show.